sociology. In today's session, we'll discuss about Indian sociologist and we'll start with N.K. Bose. In our previous lecture, we discussed about G.S. Ghurye, right? N.K. Bose, that is Nirmal Kumar Bose, was a scholar with varied academic interest. He figures prominently in any discourse on the development of anthropology and sociology in India. He is one of the pioneers of anthropology and sociology in India and is one of the prominent anthropologists and the sociologist. And his academic interest is varied. He wrote on the wide range of subjects like social and cultural history, political science, architecture, human geography. That is why I said that he has a varied interest. So he wrote about the culture, history, political sciences, architecture, and human geography. His scientific curiosity in anthropological investigation was always matched by the profound concerns for human welfare. Nirmal Kumar Bose was born in Kolkata in year 1901. His father was a doctor by profession and young Nirmal was very good in sports. He received his school education from the different schools in Bihar, Bengal, and Orissa. He completed his Bachelor of Sciences with honors in geology and Master of Sciences in anthropology from University of Calcutta. So he had done his graduation in geology and post graduation in anthropology from University of Calcutta, and he received his school education from Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha. He was drawn into national movement at the young age, and this gave a distinctive edge to his scientific and literary work. As we all know, that was an era of freedom fighting, right? And various authors or the various sociologists, various intellectuals were involved in various national movements. So also N.K. Bose was. He was involved in the national movement at very young age, and because he got involved in those national movement, this has given a distinctive edge to his scientific and literary work. He also went to jail for nationalist activities during the movement for India's independence. The greatest single influence on the Bose life was his association with Gandhi. So he was very much influenced with Mahatma Gandhi. Bose was interested in Gandhi's idea on creation of a new society in India and began by making a detailed study of his writing. As he was influenced by Gandhi, and we all know about the Gandhi, he wanted a new society, a caste-free society where everyone loved each other. So Bose was interested in Gandhi's idea on creation of a new society in India, and he began by making a detailed study of this in his writing. He was Gandhi's secretary and a close companion, right? Bose was impressed about Gandhi's search for truth through experience. In his view, Gandhi was an exemplary field worker, always ready to see and listen. In anthropology, field work is very important, and according to N.K. Bose, Gandhi was a excellent field worker. He was always ready to listen and see, and never drawing any conclusion about the human situation without first experiencing it. He has written several books on Gandhi, including selection from Gandhi's writings. Bose had a varied career wherein he held a high position with great distinction. He taught in various universities and in India and abroad. He was the director of Anthropological Survey of India from 1959 to 64. See, he completed his post graduation in anthropology from University of Calcutta, and he was a secretary and a close associate of Gandhi, and was influenced with the Gandhi's idea of a new society. And he wrote where we he wrote about Gandhi, right, in detail, and about his ideas. Then he became the director of Anthropological Survey of India from 1959 to 1964. From 1967 to 70, he held the office of Commissioner of Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe in Government of India. So we can make out the importance of N.K. Bose in Indian society or Indian sociology or anthropology, as he held various important posts even after independence. Before independence, he was associated with freedom fighting movements, and was a close associate of Gandhiji, and was much influenced with Gandhiji. And he wrote extensively about the Indian society, idea of a new Indian society, and about Gandhiji. And after independence from 1959 to 64, he held a very important position of anthropological director of Anthropological Survey of India. And from 67 to 70, he held the office of Commissioner for Scheduled Caste and the Scheduled Tribe in Government of India. In recognition of his excellent work in anthropology, Bose was awarded an annual gold medal of Asiatic Society of Bengal in 1948. He was elected as the president of Anthropology and Archaeological section of Indian Sciences Congress in 1949. He was elected a fellow of National Institute of Science philanthropic organization. He received Padma Shri in 1966. So he held various positions during his lifetime. He was the director of anthropology. He was the director of Anthropological Survey of India. He held a position of a commissioner for Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe in Government of India. Then he was awarded as a gold medal, right? Then he was elected as a president of Anthropological and Archaeological section of Indian Sciences in 1949. He was a fellow of National Institute of Science, right? He was associated with many philanthropic organization, and he received Padma Shri in 1966. Now let us discuss about the central ideas of N.K. Bose. Among several writings of N.K. Bose, three Bengali books, Mabin or Prakeben and Paribharkar Diary and Hindu Samajer Gabin are considered the perhaps the best. The first two are the collection of essays and sketches, and the third is a brief but very bold and imaginative account of the basic feature of Hindu social structure, in which perspectives of ethnography, Indology, and history are combined. Right. So he wrote three books in Bengali, and the first two books were the collection of essays and the sketches, and the another book that gives an imaginative account of basic feature of Hindu social structure. A great anthropologist, he tried to present a single framework involving the three approaches of ethnographers, Indologists, and social historians. So he tried to knit a society that involves three approaches of ethnography, Indologist, and social history. So he uses the ethnographic approach, Indology, that is the Indologist approach, and the social historian to understand the society, right? To present a single framework of the society. Method and approaches to the study of society. Uh, Bose laid a great emphasis on conducting field work, as he was an anthropologist. So he uh, emphasized on conducting the field work. He believed that every idea should be put to test of observation and experience, right? Nothing concerning human society should be decided up prior or taken at the face value. So according to Bose, it was important to carry out the field work and nothing should be taken on the face values or on the priorities, but it should be put to the observation and the experiences. Bose traveled extensively throughout the length and breadth of the country, constantly interacting and sharing the experiences, and that's how he was able to understand the Indian society deeply. He was the opinion that in order to understand Hindu civilization, an anthropologist should go beyond the applied aspect. Bose had developed a unique approach of studying social phenomena and cultural attributes in specific situation context. So he had developed an approach to understand the social phenomena and why that social phenomenon is occurring, or to understand the cultural attribute in a special situational context. In with reference to, he tried to understand the cultural attributes or social phenomenon with reference to situations, right? He was of the view that there could be no set ways for actual field work. The nature of task at hand should guide the researcher about what tools of investigation to adopt or even fashion depending on the problem of inquiry. So he was of the opinion that there is no set rules to conduct the field work. That totally depends on the problem in hand, right? So it totally depends on the researcher, right? That what type of a tool the researcher wants for to use for the investigation, and it depends on the problem of inquiry. That it means it totally depends on the problem for what they are looking for a problem for which they are looking the answers, right? He consistently emphasized the importance of careful and meticulous observation. But he said that there is no set specified rules to conduct the answer to conduct this field research. But he emphasized on the importance of careful and meticulous observation. The observation should be careful and meticulous, then only you can generalize the result. Otherwise, the result could be biased or skewed. According to Bose, Indian society had an inexhaustible capacity to absorb and transform ideas and experiences from every conceivable quarters, right? He studied the lives of tribal in India and examined the relation between the tribal and the non-tribal population in larger social and cultural perspective. As he held the position of the Commissioner of Social Caste and Scheduled Caste and the Scheduled Tribes in Indian government, he studied the lives of the tribals in India, and he tried to examine the relationship between the tribal and the non-tribal population in larger social and cultural perspective, how their lives, that is the lives of the tribal and non-tribal population, is different or similar. He tried to understand, that is, the relationship between the tribal and non-tribal population. Boss perceived that the tribal communities of India are not all of the same kind and do not stand in the same relation to the wider society, but uses ethnographic data to show the nature of tribal communities of Orissa and Chota Nagpur and their relation with the wider community. So, as he used the various method, he used the ethnographical method, Indiologist method, right, and other historian method to understand the society, right? So he used the ethnographic data to show the nature of tribal communities of Odisha and Chota Nagpur. He conducted this study on the tribes of Odisha and Chota Nagpur, and he used the ethnographical method to show the nature of tribal communities of Odisha and Chota Nagpur and their relations with the wider communities. What is their nature? For classifying the tribal communities in India, he uses two related criteria: their level of technological development and the degree of their geographical and social isolation, right? So actually he used two criteria to understand or to classify the tribal communities in India. First criteria was the level of technological development, how technologically that tribe is developed, and second criteria was the degree of their geographical and social isolation, how much isolated they are from the wider society geographically as well as socially, and their level of technological development. So he tried to classify the tribal communities on these two parameters. Civilizational view of Indian society. In his book, The Structure of Hindu Society, Boss gives civilization view of Indian society. He has divided it into three parts. The first part of the book mainly belongs to the domain of ethnography, where he presents the material based on his own fieldwork. Fieldwork is mainly done among the tribal communities. The second part is predominantly Indological, where he presents the account of the theory and practice of the Hindu social life, and the third part deals with the social history. So he included all the three methods in his book, The Structure of Hindu Society. The first he used the ethnographical method, right, and then he used the Indological method to understand the theory and the practices of Hindu social life, and thirdly he used the social history, right, to get a more historical view, right? Bose conducted his first independent field research among the Juang tribesmen of Orissa who practiced shifting cultivation. Bose was struck by the fact that although Zhuangs were outside the fold of Hinduism, there were clear indication that Hindu religious ideas had penetrated their culture. Right? So he conducted his first research on Zhuang tribe of Odisha, and he was surprised to see that this Zhuang were outside the fold of Hinduism, but still uh, there were the clear indication of Hindu religious ideas among this tribe. Zhuang religious ceremonies have been influenced by those of the neighboring Brahminical people, yet they have their own language. They perform their marriage and funeral custom all by themselves, eat beef, and are not considered by Hindu to be one of the Hindu castes. Above shows that the influence of Aryans or Brahminical civilization has been greater in both extent and depth among Mundas and Aryans of than the Zhuangs or Savaras. Although the Zhuangs were influenced by the Hindu Brahminical customs, but still there were some differences. They had their own language, right? They perform their marriages and funeral customs by themselves, all by themselves. They eat beef, right? But Bose find, according to Bose, that there was an influence of Aryan or Brahminical civilization more on Mundas and Orans than the Zhuangs and or Savras. Although Zhuangs were influenced with Hindu customs, but Mundas and Orans were more influenced with these Brahminical civilization or the Aryan civilization, according to Bose. It is through influence of this kind that tribal communities become increasingly articulated with wider society, right? And because of these influences, these tribal communities become increasingly articulated with the wider society. The process was described as the Hindu method of tribal absorption. And according to Bose, it enables marginal communities to become a part of Hindu society without requiring them to abandon all their particular customs. And because of because they were influenced by Hindus and they adopted the certain custom of Hindus, and this process was described as the Hindu method of tribal absorption, right? And according to Bose, it enabled marginal communities to become a part of Hindu society, that is the Hindu method of tribal absorption. Hindu castes like Ahir, Lohar, Midhas also join the tribal people in their celebrations. And unless one is told who is who, no distinction can be drawn between them. One of the nature of cultural process of change, he observed that there are occasional fusions within one caste. Also, absorption of the tribal group from outside into pale of Hindu social organization is observed. That is, there was an absorption of the tribal group from the outside into Hindu social organization. He observed that thing, right? The coexistence and the interpenetration of two modes of social organization, that is the Brahminical and tribals, was investigated by Bose. So he investigated how there is an integration, right, of the two social organization, that is the Brahminical and the tribal, right? So as he said that the tribes becomes a part of the Hindu, that the Hindu organization or the Brahminical organization absorbs the tribal organization. As an anthropologist, Bose was interested not merely in revealing this certain pattern of culture, but also in discovering the theory behind the pattern. So he was not interested in the certain pattern of the culture, why there is a certain pattern of the culture, why this culture exists. He tried to understand the theory behind that culture, that is why this culture had been developed, right? Bose also seeks evidences from the domain of ideology to test his ideas about the design of Hindu society. He has borrowed the material from variety of sources such as epics, smritis, Buddhist texts, etc. So he used various smritis, epics, and other literature to understand the society, Indian society, and he used the ideological approach, right? So that he could understand the society in a better way. Bose tries to identify the designs of the Varna system from reading of epics and smritis. He tried to understand why there is a Varna system, and he tried to understand the reason behind the division of this Varna system from the epics and the smritis. He finds in them the continual attempt to explain the rank occupied by a particular community according to their origin and function. He also gives a brief idea of king's duties as laid down by the various texts. The king rules accommodated the diversity of customs and prevailed among the different communities, which together constituted the larger society. Okay. Underlying these customs was the principle of particular type of economic organization, which according to Bose gave a Hindu society's distinctive character. So this custom was the principle of a particular type of an economic organization, and it gives a structure to a society, right? He also discussed about the village life and focuses on the division of labor, which was fairly elaborated. He concentrated on the village life. He described about the division of labor. Boss also gives some glimpse of the city life, drawing mainly from the work on the Vatsana and ancient Indian philosopher. Muslim rule brought some changes in Indian society. Some new crafts were introduced, but these were confined mainly to the towns and cities. So he studied about the village life, about the division of labor. He has given some glimpse of the urban life. He studied how the Muslim ruler made some changes in the society, right? Bose gives the two example of attempts to challenge very basis of Hindu social organization, that is Buddhism in the ancient period and the Bhakti movement of Chaitanya in the Mendeleev period. So according to Bose, he had given that Bose has given the two example of attempts to challenge the very basis of Hindu social organization, right? There were these two attempts were the first is the Buddhism in the ancient period, that the Buddhism challenged the very basis of Hindu social organization, and the second was the Bhakti movement during the Mendeleev period. It also challenged the basis of the Hindu social organization. These movements were rejected the ascription of status by birth and the hierarchy ranking of the caste. As we know, in Buddhism, there is no hierarchical structure, right? There is no hierarchical ranking of the caste, or they rejected the ascription of status by birth, right? In Buddhism, everyone is equal in the society. There is no caste system, right? There is no ascription of this status by birth, and hierarchical ranking of society is not there. Same in the Mendeleev periods, same during the Bhakti period. They brought a new life into religion, but they failed to make significant dent on the existing social order. Although this Buddhism and the Bhakti movement brought a new life to the religion, but again they failed to make a significant dent on this existing social order. They did not generate any fundamental changes in the organization of production. The book In the book, The Structure of Hindu Society is an exposition of idea on which Hindu society was constituted. So, in his book, The Structure of Hindu Society, he tried to elaborate the idea on which the Hindu society was constituted. Both attached a great significance to economic factors such as both stability and change in social life. Bose took special interest in the economic organization of tribal people because there were the two parameters to study about how the tribals are different from those. First was the technological development. So for technological development, economic development is important, and he had a special interest in the economic organization of the tribal people. He believed the best way of classifying the numerous tribal group in India is not by language, religion, or race, but by the mode of livelihood. So everyone else tried to differentiate the tribes on the basis of language, on the basis of religion, or the race. But according to Boss, it is important that we should differentiate between the tribal groups on the basis of their livelihood, that is on the basis of their economy, right? With respect to caste system, he draws a distinction between the Varna system and several jatis that operates under specific condition of a village or a region. So he tried to understand and describes about the Varna system and the several jatis that operates under the specific conditions. The Varna system became increasingly more complex due to internal process of formation of new jatis as well as by assimilation of external group within its folds. So, according to Boss, that Varna system become increasingly more complex. Why it becomes more complex? Because of the internal process of formation of new jatis and assimilation of external group within its fold. So that is because the Varna system become more complex. Bose's interest in study of caste system in India appeared in his mind when he was working among the untouchable in the slums under Gandhian Reconstruction Program. So he developed an interest in study of the caste system in India when he worked with the Gandhiji among the untouchables, right, under the Gandhian Reconstruction Program. Right, he rejected the myth of divine origin and the notion of purity and pollution. right? As we discussed about the notion of purity and pollution, he rejected the notion of purity or pollution and the myth of divine, and he became interested in study of the caste system when he was working among the untouchables in the slums during Ghanaian Reconstruction Program. In series of article, Hindu method of tribal in India and some aspects of caste in Bengal, Bose proposes that the root of persistence of caste system is found in the economic and cultural security provided by the non-competitive, hereditary, vocational-based productive organization. So, in all these articles, that is the Hindu method of tribal absorption, caste in India, and some aspects of caste in Bengal, right? Bose proposed that the root persistence of the caste system is to be found in the economic and cultural security, right? It is because of the uh, economic it is because of the better economic positions and cultural security provided by a non-competitive, hereditary and vocation based productive organization. Such a system operated in isolated village communities guided by general norm of interethnic cultural tolerance. Bose viewed that the recent developments indicates devotion from non-ascribed traditional system towards a one. The older structure being used in the various combination in the newer social meaning. So he found out that the older structure has been used even in the new social meaning, right? Having interest in change-oriented study of Indian caste system, Bose also developed interest in study of caste as a self-regulating corporate group, guiding the social life of their members. So he extensively studied about the caste system, right? A number of studies on operation of the caste association in different regions of India were initiated by him. So he studied the various association, various operations of the caste system in the various regions of the India, and some of these the roles of the kings, the roles of the temples, and the mathas were brought into focus on regulation of the caste norms, how the king, mats, temple, what role they played in the regulation of the caste norms or the caste system. Bose rejected the argument that weakening of a caste system in India was a consequence of a spread of Western education. He maintained that the Western education would not be able to hit the caste system if it was not accompanied by a large scale reorganization of economic life of the country. So according to Bose, not only the only Western organization will not be able to head the caste system in India until and unless this Western education will be accompanied by the reorganization of economic life of the country, right? As per the boss, this economic plays an important role in this caste system. Those who are dominated are well to do, are economically well off, right? So as per boss, that is the Western education as well as the reorganization of economic life of the country will be able, if they will get associated together, then only there will be there would be some changes in the caste system. So NK Bose extensively worked on the various topics, right? Radha Kamal Mukherjee, our next sociologist of India is Radha Kamal Mukherjee. We discussed a little bit about the Radha Kamal Mukherjee in our previous lecture. Radha Kamal Mukherjee was a pioneer in the areas such as social ecology, interdisciplinary research, and social structure of values. He actually worked on his work is based on the values, ethos, and ecology. And he is the one who emphasized on the interdisciplinary research. Some of his central ideas revolve around the relationship between the economic and social behavior, social ecology, conservation of the forest, urban social problem, theory of values, Indian culture and civilization, and notion of universal civilization. So, the central idea of Radha Kamal Mukherjee was the economic, social behavior, then the values, social ecology, conservation of the forest, urban social problems, and the theory of values and the Indian culture, and various other things. Let us discuss a brief biographical sketch of Radha Kamal Mukherjee. Radha Kamal Mukherjee was born in 1889 in a large Bengali Brahmin family in Behrampur. His father was a leader of the bar, that is, a lawyer, and was accomplished scholar with a great interest in history. The general atmosphere in which he grew up was scholarly. His early years were marked by peaceful tenor of life with its play and schooling. Piety and devotion punctured by a periodic celebration of fast and feast, rituals and sacraments, storytelling from the epics and the Puranas, and visits of um, aesthetic and saints guests of the household. So from this we can make out that he was from a well-to-do family, a scholarly family, and a family of values, right? A family who emphasized on the values, right? And values, right? Mukherjee's early memories, which left an imprint on his mind, consisted of picture of sorrows and misery of a large population devastated by famine in Madras and Orissa during the early years of 20th century. Right. That the famine of the Madras and Orissa impacted a lot Radha Kamal Mukherjee. Right. He saw the sorrows and the misery of a larger population, right, who was devastated by the famine in Madras and Orissa during the early years of the 20th century. It was during the same period of his life that Bengal saw its socio-culture and intellectual renaissance. As we know that it was a period of a renaissance, right? So in India, that early years of the 20th century was a period of intellectual renaissance. Radha Kamal Mukherjee um, was impacted by the famine of Madras, was impacted by the misery and the sorrows of the larger population caused by the famine of Madras and Orissa, and at the same time, it was a period of intellectual renaissance in Bengal, and he was from Bengal. In 1905, every city in Bengal was in the state of intellectual and political ferment. The partition of Bengal into East and West Bengal, introduced by the Lord Curzon, led to a mass uprising against this event. Political meeting, street procession, and singing parties, boycott of British goods, and propagation of Swadeshi product introduced him to the mass movement of the time. We all know that the Lord Curzon has divided the Bengal into East and West, and this has led to a mass uprising against this event. People that the masses uh, revolted against this decision. The various political meetings, that is boycott of British goods and propagating that Swadeshi products were introduced, were going on, and all these events introduced Radha Kamal Mukherjee to the mass movement of the time. He was impacted by all these mass movements. Mukherjee had his early education in Bahirampur. He got an academic scholarship in the leading educational institute in India, the Presidency College in Calcutta. He took his honors course in English and history in this college. Here he came in contact with the scholars such as H.M. Percival, M. Ghosh, brother of Sri Aurobindo Ghosh, and linguistic Harinath De. He admired these scholars very much. He was here that he read books of the Comte, Herbert Spencer, Lester Ward, Hobhouse, Giddings, and many others. So during his graduation and during his college education, he read many scholars and he admired very many scholars, right? During this period of his life, Mukherjee launched himself into the area of adult education, which remained his interest till the end. So Mukherjee during this period, during when he was studying, Mukherjee took interest in the areas of adult education, and he remained and this interest remained with him till the end. The country was going through a political and cultural upheaval, and during the period which, according to Mukherjee, completely changed the scale of values. So as he was from a value abide uh, house, right? Family, from value abide family. So as per Mukherjee, it was a period of intellectual renaissance. There was a political and cultural uphill, and was a period and it was a period according to Mukherjee, which changed the scale of values completely. This change was seen far from outside the government institution, taking the form of literary and artistic renaissance. This renaissance slowly took the form of mass movement. It was in order to help the process that Mukherjee started an adult evening school in 1906 in the slum of Calcutta, right? So it was a period of renaissance in, that is in artistic and literally renaissance, and this renaissance has taken form of the mass movement. And in 1906, Mukherjee started an adult evening school in the slum of Calcutta. He wrote simple text for adult education, which sold in thousands. This school became a community center, and even the local physicians started taking interest in his movement of social education. They treated without charging any fee the adult and the children of slums. So he started a small school in the slum. He wrote easy text for the adults so that they could understand the text easily, and this school become a community center, and various other scholars or various eminent personalities from the other fields start helping this school. Mukherjee valued his early training in the slum of Calcutta, turned the focus of his interest toward the discipline of sociology and economics. So it was a turning point for Mukherjee that this school, this training in the slum of Calcutta, turned the focus of interest of Mukherjee towards the sociology and economics. Social sciences during Mukherjee's time in Calcutta University included the discipline of economics, politics, and sociology at MA level. It was during this period that Mukherjee came in close association with Binoy Kumar Sarkar. Mukherjee, like many other Indians of this time, was impressed by failed political speeches of Bipin Chandra Pal, one of the Congress extremists. But main interest of Mukherjee was at that time educational rather than the political. So he was impressed with Sarkar and Bipin Chandra Pal, but his interest was more towards the education rather than the politics. He and his friends called themselves the ministers of poor and dressed poorly, giving up Western dresses. In 1910, Mukherjee went back to his Old College in Bahrampur as a teacher in economics. This was the busiest period of his life, and it was during this period he wrote his early works in economics, such as Foundation of Indian Economics. His interest in social ecology and study of the regions also originated during this period. So, during 1910, when he joined his college as a teacher of in economics, he extensively wrote about the economic subjects, right? Economic subject, that is, he wrote the foundation of Indian economics, and his interest in social ecology and the study of region was originated during this period. Mukherjee also became the editor of renowned Bengali monthly Upasana. He wrote for this monthly regularly and kept in touch with the literary development of Bengali literature. He was a vocacious reader, and his interest in the literature was very deep, as he was very much interested in education and reading and literature. During 1915, when there was a prosecutions by the British government, Mukherjee was once arrested for a day, and all his adult schools were liquidated. The charges against him were that he was a terrorist or a hard sympathy with the terrorism under the disguise of the adult education, right? So he was charged with terrorism. He was charged as a terrorist or a or had a sympathy with the terrorism and under the disguise of the adult education, and all his schools were liquidated. He was offered a position in Lahore College in Punjab, and he went there. He went back to the University of Calcutta, where Ashutosh Mukherjee had established in 1917 the Postgraduate Council of Arts and Science. He stayed here for 5 years and taught economics, sociology, and the political philosophy in Calcutta. In 1921, he went to University of Lucknow as a professor and the head of Department of Economics and Sociology on the very day when the university started functioning. He introduced an integrated approach in economics, sociology, and anthropology in both research and teaching in Lucknow University. So he started the interdisciplinary research and teaching. So he became the head of the Department of Economics and Sociology, right, in University of Lucknow, the day when the university started functioning, and he integrated the approaches in economics, sociology, and anthropology, as they are closely knitted in both research and teaching in Lucknow University. According to Mukherjee, using comparative methods in the study of social sciences in India, we must aim at the scientific study of race and cultural origins. So, he emphasized on the scientific study of the society, right? So, he emphasized on the comparative method, right, to study the social sciences, and one should aim at the use of this scientific method or this scientific method to study about the race and the cultural origins. In his intellectual career, he was deeply influenced by the three social thinkers. First, he was influenced by the Professor Bajendra Nath C. Second was the Patrick Geddes, and the third one was his old intimate college who died early was Narendra Nath Sen Gupta. So he was influenced with the three thinkers. The first was Bajendra Nath Sen, then Patrick Geddes. He was known as he's the founding member of sociology in India, and the third is the Narendra Nath Sen Gupta. His stresses on the comparative method in cultural sciences was due to the Seal's influence on his work. Bajendranath Seal, so because of the influence of Bajendranath Seal, he stressed on the comparative method of the cultural sciences. Patrick Giddens too influenced the Mukherjee work on the study of the region, psychology, and the population. And Narendra Nath Seal helped to generate Mukherjee interest in social psychology. Beside these Indian thinkers, there were many Western thinkers with whom Mukherjee worked and who influenced in his writing. And some of those sociologists were like Edward Ellsworth, Ross, Robert Ezra, Mackenzie, and P. Sorokin. So he was influenced with many others too. Mukherjee taught economics and sociology in Lucknow University for nearly 30 years. He also became a vice chancellor and director of JK Institute of Sociology and Human Relations of the university. He died in the year 1968, but his contribution have left a deep imprint on the students of sociology. Central ideas in Indian university, the compartmentalization of discipline has dominated the scene, and the disciplines such as sociology, psychology, statistics have existed side by side in the same college or the university, but there have been very little interaction between them, and he tried to integrate each and everything. In his teaching and writing, Mukherjee emphasized the need of mutual interaction between the social sciences on the one hand and between the social sciences and physical sciences on the other hand. So he emphasized on the interdisciplinary study, right? Relationship between economic and social behavior. According to him, there is a relationship between the economic and the social behavior in India. Many economic transaction takes place within the framework of caste or tribe. The market model has a limited relevance. Mukherjee tried to show a relationship between the traditional network and the economic exchange. The guilds and the caste of India were operating in a non-competitive system. The rules of economic exchange were derived from a normative Hinduism, that is, according to the norms of Hindu religion, wherein the interdependence between group was emphasized. To understand the rural India, the economic value should analyze with reference to the social norms. So, according to Mukherjee, it is important that to understand the rural India, it is important that the economic value should be analyzed with reference to the social norms. Religious and ethical constraints have always lent a direction to economic exchange. Values enter into daily life of a people and compel them to act in a collective sanctioned ways, and it is wrong to always treat the economic behavior as a separate from a social life or collectively. So as per Mukherjee, the values and norms plays a very important role in the daily life of the people, and they compel and this compel them to act the collectively sanctioned way. And so it is very wrong to analyze or to treat the economic behavior as a separate from the social life or collectively. They are collective. His central idea was about the social ecology. He wrote a number of books on social ecology. According to him, social ecology was a complex formulation of number of social sciences interacted, right? The geological, geographical, biological factors worked together to produce an ecological zone. And ecology is a condition by social, economy, and political factor. Right? So, according to Radha Kamal Mukherjee, geology, geography, and biological factor work together to produce an ecological zone. And ecology is a condition by social, economic, and the political factors. There is a definite link between the ecology and the society. The development of ecological zone must be seen in terms of dynamic process. That is challenge of environment and response of people who establish a settlement. So as per Mukherjee, there is a link between ecology and society. The development of ecological zone must be seen in terms of dynamic process. That is a challenge of environment and response of people who established this settlement. So there is a link between the ecology and the society. Obviously, there is a link between the ecology and the society. Ecological balance is not a mechanical carving out of a territory and settling a people thereon. Such attempt weakens and destroy the social fabric. Okay. Next is his plea for conservation of forest. So he worked. His central idea was on the ecology. Then his plea for conservation of forest. Mukherjee wrote extensively on the danger of deforestation. Now we can see the results of the deforestation. The deforestation results in famine. The deforestation results in floods and many other problems. His plea for conservation has been taken up at the present by a number of activist voluntary organizations such as CHIPCO and APCO, which focus on the halting of destructions of the trees. Mukherjee also referred to the danger of monocultivation, that is, raising a single cash crop to the determinant of rotation of crops. So, according to him, that is, raising a single cash crop is not a good idea. There should be a rotation of crops. That is, such practices of deforestation or monocultivation disturb the fragile ecosystem and give rise to the severe economical problem. Right. Then he has given his idea about the urban social problem. Mukherjee was also interested of the ameliorative approach to the problems of working class. The living condition of the workers in the urban center was affected by the slum life, right? In the early days of civilization, the urban slum gave rise to vices such as prostitution, gambling, and crime, and it is therefore necessary to bring about the drastic changes in the lives of a worker to improve the economic and the moral conditions. Then he has given a theory of values. Radha Kamal Mukherjee has sustained interest in the impact of values on the human society. In the middle of the 20th century, the notion of the value-free social science become dominant in academic circle both in West and in India. Right? So value-free social science. Mukherjee held the separation between the fact and value was arbitrary. So all these were the center idea of the Radha Kamal Mukherjee. That's all for today. Thank you very much.